Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Maloney, and this is Sacktown Slam. And by the way, happy Halloween, everyone. This has been a long couple of weeks. I'll tell you that. More like a long week, but I'm back, baby. But I will tell you this, that, it has not been easy. Speaking of not easy, before I get into Raw, or the last 2 weeks thereof, man, two of these did not come out of left field. One of them really came out of left field. And before I talk about it, there were 3 releases over the weekend. 2 were Summer Rae and Darren Young. Summer Rae has not worked a WWE show in over a year. By, used baggage claim to the left. And then Darren Young has just been doing the B shows for like a year. Superstars, loser show. Main event, loser show. But, unfortunately, we did not make Darren Young great again. So, because he was not great, he had to worry about Bo Leafs. You should have just added him to the Miz Taraj. Like, give me a break, just make all of them the lovable losers. Boo, but whatever. If you're not, and here's my problem, if you're gonna get rid of Darren Young, just fucking have a mass exodus of people that suck. Like Titus O'Neil. Get him the fuck out of there. Fucking Enzo Abortion. Get him the fuck out of there. If you had done that with Enzo, instead of worrying about what you're going to make now, worry about what you could make tomorrow without him. Neville is still under contract. If you fire Enzo, you might have a chance of getting him back. But, WWE does the stupidest thing ever. And after 2 matches with Asuka, fires Emma. I'm thinking, how the fuck does that make sense? After having a pay-per-view match and a match on Raw the next week, you fire her? I'll be the first one to say she is not, the one that's going to win the pony. But she has been working really hard, obviously, on her ring skills based on the match she had with Asuka. And she has been working harder on her character, even though, some people online are like, it's probably because of the Emelina gimmick. No, it was not because of the Emelina gimmick. I can tell you that. Most likely, it had nothing to do with that. It was WWE trying to trim the fat. But if you want to trim the fat in that women's division, how the fuck do you fire someone like Emma and then not fire Dana Brooke? Okay, Dana Brooke is a shit stain. Okay? Emma can at least wrestle. So why fire Emma and not Dana Brooke? Boo! Very fucking poor decision there. And you're making this shit with Asuka more complicated because you started a rivalry and then essentially ended it because you fired her. I'm going to be honest, and then Leo Rush. Oh my God. This dude, he's 22. So, I will say there was a harm. But he put on Twitter, I guess these are the things that happen when you're truly not ready for Asuka. Okay, so many wrestlers chimed in on this. And I mean a lot of wrestlers. And let me read you some of these tweets. Kevin Owens, Taz, Samoa Joe, and Mick Foley all chimed in. Taz was like, hey, young blood, then maybe you should delete that tweet. Duh. Then you had Kevin Owens. Reading that made my brain melt. Good luck, you're going to need it. Again, very true. Samoa Joe. One's true nature is seen when they feel there are no consequences. One's true nature is seen when those consequences inevitability show up. I cannot have put that fucking better myself. In other words, there will be consequences for that. And if there isn't, then people are going to be working that fucker real stiff. Because my assumption is that Emma was well liked in the locker room, and that fool done fucked up by talking shit about someone that they liked. So, and Taz doesn't even work for the WWE. I mean, damn. I mean, that's like the hammer hath come down upon you for talking shit. But anyway, let's get down to business and talk about Raw. I was not here for last week's Raw, and I think my brain melted when I finally saw it. I was watching Hulu, watched it on Hulu. Oh my goodness. Under Siege. That was the perfect title for it. I'm not going to go over the matches from last week because that's like, everybody's already done that shit already anyway. The big deal was when the SmackDown roster at the end came down and just beat the ever-living piss out of everyone. The men, the women, even the Shield tried to stop them and got the crap beat out of them. I mean, if you are a watcher of this podcast, which I don't have that many, but for those who are loyal and watch this, you know how I've always wanted Survivor Series to go. Brand warfare. Okay, you want brand warfare, that is where you get brand warfare. Brand warfare is when you are putting champion versus champion. That's what they're doing this year at Survivor Series. Oh my goodness, is this an epiphany that WWE just had? No, it's just fucking common sense. If you are not going to do that, then you should be. They're also making they are going to have a 5-on-5, which they're having qualification matches for up through the next few weeks. Now, I'm a little worried about one of the matches tonight, but we'll cross that bridge when I do my SmackDown, video. But I'm going to be honest. Raw has not announced any of who's going to be on their team with the exception of one. Because Stephanie McMahon came back this past week. Ooh, it's Stephanie coming back on Halloween. She must be a fucking ghoul, No one wants to see you back. Go back to where you went through a table at WrestleMania and stay there. Jeez. I'll tell you what happens if you're not successful. You find out what happened to Mick Foley. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but Stephanie's, promos, they come off looking so fake. And she looks so fake because I bet in real life she's a good person. But she is such a terrible fucking actor. She really is. And, back when she was really a lot younger and Jericho and God knows who else was having sexual tension with her, just making fun of her boobs and crap like that, which, that's the Attitude Era for you. But fact of the matter is that right now she is very cringy on the mic, and I don't want to see her as a GM. I don't want to see her as a commissioner. I don't want to see her as anything. And just get a new damn commissioner, as for Raw. And it does not have to be a McMahon. Yes, Stephanie will have power behind the scenes. That's a given. She's a McMahon. But sitting there saying, I'm going to get rid of Angle when everyone fucking loves Angle. That's like saying, we're going to get rid of Daniel Bryan. It's just like, No. I don't need the Authority getting back together again. No one wants to see the fucking Authority. That was the cringiest, ugliest fucking era for the WWE in history. It is terror. It was absolutely awful. You cannot possibly think that, getting the Authority back together is going to make things any better, because it's not. The Authority is just, the Authority, in my opinion, it's just, it was stupid. And they held it out along too long, and why? Why? We don't want to see wash, rinse, and repeat with WWE. We really don't. Because they do that, they go to that well way too often. And I mean way too often. Quite frankly, the well needs to focus a bit more on purification of the water, especially on Raw. Like, you fire Emma, which is dumb. So, my guess is that at least one woman from NXT towards the beginning of next year is going to move up. I would say more so that they're going to be moving up. And when I say beginning of the year, I mean January. Because they're supposedly having this Women's Royal Rumble, which I'm totally for. Dude, don't mince my words here. So they're going to have to move people up. It makes sense. So, getting to the rest of the show. So let me find it here on this website for y'all. I mean, getting to the rest of the show, which was like, whatever, It wasn't anything to write home about, that's for sure. But it was a Raw, and they are trying to do the best that they can. Now, for those that don't know already, Brock Lesnar's gonna fight Jinder Mahal, and oh my goodness, I don't know if it was this week or last week, they were in Baltimore this week at the Royal Farms Arena. So they did a recap package on SmackDown's Invasion last week, and it starts with Kurt Angle promising that he would never let something happen again, like Shane, and then Stephanie's music hits, Miss Cringe. And then she tells Angle that there's no way to start a show at all. It's depressing. So Steph automatically welcomes everyone to Monday Night Raw. And she sounds so cringy doing it, because her voice is cracking in like 6 different directions. And then she starts by hyping the 25th anniversary of Raw in January, which is true. And because I've backlogged it, that will be in January, which is kind of cool. And I'll probably try to do something special. And then she tells Angle that he'd been doing a hell of a job, even with all the ups and downs. His illegitimate son, Braun Strowman, being crushed in the back of a garbage truck, which I'll get to later. And then and the virus, which this person admittedly left out here, but that was stated by Stephanie McMahon. And then he'd earned Stephanie's respect up until the siege and Shane took over. But he's backstabbing and conniving, and Shane wins everyone over by jumping from the top of a cell, but then comes and tries to take over Stephanie's show and be a big man. The only reason this was allowed to happen was because of Kurt Angle, and she was just being her cringy self when she stated this. So because she was so angry with Kurt, he's the captain for Survivor Series. I do think this is cool, because we're at least going to get Kurt 3 times in the next few months. I mean, it was at TLC. We got him the first time. He'll be the captain for Survivor Series, which means, again, a small workload, but he will be taking some bumps, and then he'll probably have a match against Triple H at WrestleMania, which I don't want to see, but it would be a good way at this point to fucking write them off again. So if I have to deal with Miss Cringe till WrestleMania, get me a vomit bag, please. But anyway, and that if Angle does not win at Survivor Series, that she'll replace Kurt Angle. Bullshit. But anyway, after that, they had Bayley versus Nia Jax. Oh, I don't know. Where's Emma? I'm the women's revolution. No, I'm in the unemployment line. Yeah, you kind of are. I mean, I know I did a lot of dissing of Emma, but, she was a decent wrestler, and they were pushing her, and I did enjoy that push. I love bagging on Emma, but I hate to see people lose their jobs like that, just out of nowhere. It sucks. It really does. And to lose your job in doing something you love, it sucks. So Bayley was supposed to have a match with Alicia Fox, but Alicia Fox comes out. Yeah, she came out with a captain's helmet on. She looked like she was from something like fucking Gilligan's Island or some shit like that. She looked like the skipper, and she was like, "This is your captain speaking, and, well, your match was supposed to be against me, but now the captain sees you're going to go against this person." And then fucking Nia Jax comes out. It was a decent match, I guess, because Bayley did get some offense in, but it was very abruptly ended. And, like, okay, so then Jax charges Bayley, and Bayley jumps on a guillotine choke. And so she was choking her, Bayley was. Jax withstands it and manages to throw Bayley off of her. Then Jax grabs Bayley's head and throws it onto the mat. As Bayley is seated, Jax bounces off the ropes with a rolling spear. Fuck. I would not have wanted to be Bayley, because I guarantee you that spear hit her harder than that stupid leg drop finisher Nia Jax has. I mean, I don't know who designed that finisher, but that is fucking stupid. Get a new finisher, Nia. You are not in NXT anymore. You need to, like, impress the man, you know? Because your finisher sucks. But Nia Jax won for 3 counts, so she is now on the women's team. So I guess they are going to do women versus women. They are going to do men versus men. And they have all the championship matches, which means this. I guarantee you the best matches on that card. Because Miz versus Corbin, who the fuck cares? Corbin will either annihilate the Miz, or Miz will get himself disqualified. Who cares? Same thing with Lesnar and the modern day retardaja, you know? He's going to get annihilated, because when you make more in WWE like Lesnar, you have way the fuck more pull. Again, who cares? I don't care about a 5-minute Brock Lesnar match anymore. I fail to see why people get hyped about this guy, because his matches last maybe 5 minutes. Who cares? You can sit there and prop up fucking, bullshit all you want with Paul Heyman. You're not going to get me hyped for this guy anymore. Till he has another 10, 20-minute match with a decent opponent, I could give a fuck. So, but the women versus women, that is cool. And I think that was kind of, I think the women versus women thing was kind of alluded to when Raw was under siege, because the women beat up the other women, which would state that maybe, Raw would want some payback. I don't know how that one's going to go, because Raw won last year for the women. I'm expecting SmackDown to win for the women and Raw to win for the men, because the SmackDown men won last year. If the SmackDown men are going to win, and you are eliminating the Shield from this, obviously, I'm going to give you 3 names that I can fucking guarantee you will be on that, along with Kurt Angle. Braun Strowman, because if they don't, they're stupid. Roman Reigns, again, because if they don't, they're stupid. And if I'm just gonna go out there and say this, I don't want to say Kane, because Kane, I just kind of didn't want him to come back. I figured he was retired. But if Kane is going to try to make an impact, maybe. But, there's a crop full of great names to pull from SmackDown. Raw's men, I guess maybe Finn Balor, because Balor's not doing anything. And that may have been the genius behind doing Balor and AJ, because now Balor and AJ can feud at Survivor Series in that 5-on-5. I mean, in fact, Balor, Reigns, and freaking Strowman, almost guarantee, if you want to go with the legit motherfuckers, that is who you go with. I am not sure who number 5 would be. That is up to interpretation. If they choose Enzo, they deserve to lose. But honestly, it is something that I've been thinking about. I don't know of whom would be the right person for number 5. I think number 5 is really up to interpretation, but it is definitely an interesting question. I don't really know for certain who number 5 would be. Anyway, after that, Fox gets on the mics and tells Nia Jax that she's the first pick on the Survivor Series team, as Jax is leaving. Samoa Joe's music fucking plays, and he walks out, and the crowd just starts going, Joe, 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 Joe. Yeah, this thing's taking old beatings from being on the table. But, yeah, they were pretty crazy about Joe coming back. Okay, then Joe acknowledged that the crowd's reactions seemed to like and that he was missed, which is funny because Joe hasn't missed any of them. Typical heel bullshit. So none of these people truly care about Joe's hardships. And when Joe is beating up his opponents, he is going to pretend it is each and every one of these fans he is battering. Typical heel. And that's usually the way a heel acts when he knows he's wanted. So, fucking go, Joe. I fucking love Joe. Why he does not have that universal fucking title, I don't know. Quite frankly, Brock Lesnar is the most undeserving motherfucker on this planet, and he makes me physically fucking ill. I hate him. And the only reason he has that title and has been getting to sit on it for months upon end until WrestleMania is because they have this giant idea that Roman Reigns wrestling Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania is such a great idea. No, it's not. Because everyone's known about this since the beginning of the year, number 1. So it will come as no surprise to anyone. And you screwed over Joe. You screwed over freaking Braun Strowman. And you're screwing over the rest of the roster. Let it die. Please. Anyway, Joe's match was against Apollo Crews. It was pretty short, concise, and I feel bad for Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews, man, he cannot find direction. He has been the beat stick for everyone. If it's not Elias, now it's fucking Samoa Joe. And why? Why not have a program with Apollo Crews versus Jason Jordan to see who's the most athletic? And I'm going to be honest with you, they're both hella athletic. You could probably make a great feud out of that. But is WWE going to do that? No. WWE is not interested in building people up at the Raw level. They want them already built up at the Raw level, which is why people like Emma and Dana Brooke and Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil and the entire fucking cruiserweight division is treated like shit. So, I just, whatever. The end of it was they're trading punches. Joe whips Crews into the corner and cracks him with a kick to the head. Cruz lands an enziguri and tries to turn the tables, but Joe lands a Uranagi. Joe locks the Kikina clutch in, and Cruz taps out. Pretty much your standard Samoa Joe. Titus O'Neil gets in the ring and takes off his blazer and postures like he wants to scrap with Joe. Joe feigns capitulation and starts to leave the ring. What the fuck that means? Titus relaxes and turns to help Cruz. And see, this is the other thing. Not understanding. Anyway, there was an Intercontinental title that was made because Miz was being all pissy, showed up late to the show, which I think that was obviously kayfabe. Then Kurt Angle comes out and he's like, you know what? You showed up late and you're not leaving and you know, and he's like, you know what? You're going to defend your Intercontinental title. So Matt Hart, and he's like, I don't know who you're going to face. I guess you'll find out when you go out there. And so eventually what happened with this, and I'll get to the end here. So anyway, I'll read this part. Matt gets to the second rope and hits a jumping elbow drop. He gets another 2 count. Matt sets up for a twist of fate. Miz avoids it, but Matt hits him with a side effect for a long 2 count. Matt keeps holding back at the back of his head and may have legitimately injured himself off the neck breaker earlier. If anything happens on that one, I'll let you know. But Matt sets up Miz to hit him with a picture-perfect moonsault into a pin. Miz barely gets the shoulder up in time. Miz gets himself back into now and starts landing the it kicks. As he winds up for the final kick, Matt ducks and delivers a twist of fate. Miz rolls under the bottom rope to avoid being pinned. Matt goes to get him, and Miz pulls him into a trap, hanging him into the top rope. Miz runs back inside the rope and hits a skull-crushing finale for the pinfall. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you here. This was stupid. I'm so sick of The Miz being Intercontinental Champion. This is boring, and at this point, it's rhetorical. I mean, I don't even care about the Intercontinental title anymore. Get it the fuck off The Miz. Now. This is the most boring-ass fucking title, probably next to fucking Enzo Amore and the fucking cruiserweights. I don't even care about Intercontinental title matches now, because they don't mean anything. It's just Miz. Why the fuck am I supposed to care about The Miz? Let him go to the back of the line and earn it again, because I just have ceased to care. He's held this title for a year. No one cares anymore. No one. Get it off him now, because you're being retarded by keeping it on him. You, at this moment, could have put that belt on Matt and started having him going to Broken fucking City and going Awoken. You know, your big plan, why you spent all that money on fucking Matt and Jeff. Yeah, that plan? What happened? Did WWE Creative just get lazy again? They are so set in their ways. It is stupid. And, you know, I just thought this, to me, I almost just wanted to turn off the TV. It was just so ugly. Then you had Asuka versus Jobber. The bell sounds. Asuka drops the Jobber with a spinning back fist. She follows up with a Muay Thai knees, then an axe kick to the spine. Asuka lands a knee strike with the Jobber around. Asuka slaps on the Asuka lock and forces the Jobber to tap quickly. Kurt Angle's on the phone and suddenly starts flipping out. He grabs a walkie-talkie and starts yelling into it. They're here, it's happening, they're here. Then the camera goes over and SmackDown General Manager Daniel Bryan is standing there. Angle asks him what the hell he's doing there, and it cuts to commercial. Back again, and Daniel Bryan is trying to explain that he's there at risk to himself. He's alone, and he's not there to cause trouble. He doesn't agree with what Shane did and was just as blinded as Angle. Angle says for Bryan to bring a message back to Shane. Angle's bringing his gold medals. He's bringing his Raw roster, and they're going to take out SmackDown at Survivor Series. After a video package with Lesnar, Bryan is on the phone talking to someone about how things didn't go well with Angle. Suddenly, the lights go out, and it cuts to commercial. Back again, and Bryan is in the dark ranting into his phone about his predicament. Then Kane comes in and grabs Bryan, and the scene cuts away. This is kind of funny because Daniel Bryan and Kane were in a tag team together. So for it to be Kane to be the one to attack Daniel Bryan, okay. You know, I'll give him a pass on that one because, you know, Team Hell No, we all remember that. But, you know, I like this. The back and forth, and with how many weeks we have left, I want to see Raw invade SmackDown, motherfuckers. I want gang war. I want to see the fucking blue team beat up the fucking red team. Yeah, NFC versus AFC, East versus West, NL versus AL. This is the kind of shit I want to see on a more regular basis. And before I get to any more, there was an idea that I also had too. They do need to bring back King of the Ring. But what they need to do is have a blue bracket and a red bracket. Red bracket being Raw, blue bracket being SmackDown. And then the semifinals and finals, you know, you have blue versus red and blue versus red. And then in the finals, you have blue versus red. You make that happen. And then you can say, well, my brand won King of the Ring last year. You know, if you really want this to be a brand war, that is how you do it twice in a year. And that's really the only... It shouldn't be done too much because you don't want to go to that well too many times. But twice a year. Once I think at the end of the fall with Survivor Series, and once I think at the beginning of the summer with King of the Ring. Because King of the Ring, Money in the Bank, and SummerSlam. Those should be your three big pay-per-views before you start, you know, running into that backlog of bullshit fall pay-per-views that no one gives two shits about. So, anyway, then you had Finn Balor versus Sheamus. You know, it was okay. Wait a minute. I thought it was versus... Oh, they said Sheamus. It was Cesaro. Because I'm like, wait a minute. I thought this match was versus Cesaro. And it was versus Cesaro. Anyway, so it was a decent match. It was not bad by any means. And, you know, Cesaro, and the end of it was Cesaro executes a huge suplex on Balor. He pins, but Balor kicks out. Balor starts to come back, and he hits a sling blade. He's about to go for the coup de grace, but Sheamus jumps up on the apron. Balor knocks him back, and then knocks Cesaro out of the ring as well. Balor follows with a flip over the top rope onto both of them. Balor gets Cesaro back in the ring and connects with a coup de grace on the back of Cesaro's neck, which was, yee. You know, I'm like, oh my God, did they really let you do that? But they did. And then he pinned for the victory. I mean, that was a gruesome end to a match. And I saw this and I'm like, dude, is that necessary? This guy has had neck problems. But yeah. Anyway, Kane came out after the match and Balor was attacking him. Kane takes the advantage and tombstones Balor on the stage, which I'm like, damn, dude, I thought they outlawed the tombstone. And then Raw Tag Champs, The Shield, make their entrance through the crowd as Seth Rollins gets set for a match against Kane. So then there was Rollins versus Kane. And I was surprised here because this kind of shocked me a little bit. Rollins, okay. He hits Kane with an enziguri and then goes for the top rope. Rollins lands a blockbuster and then gets a 2 count. Kane rolls out, and Rollins nails him with a suicide dive. Then Kane stumbles around on the other side of the ring, and Rollins does another suicide dive, but lands awkwardly, which he wasn't hurt, thankfully. But back in the ring, and Rollins sees Cesaro and Sheamus beating up Dean Ambrose on the outside. Rollins slingshots himself out of the ring to save his partner. Back in the ring, his partner. And then when he gets back in the ring, Kane delivers a choke slam for the pinfall. After the match, Kane is about to continue beating up Rollins, and Ambrose comes in, hits Kane, and then delivers a dirty deeds. Shortly thereafter, Kane sits up, and then Kane, Cesaro, and Sheamus go 3-on-1 against the Shield. Kane tombstones both of them, leaving them laid out in the ring. Now, for everyone that's listening, I don't know how long these people that have meningitis are going to be out for. This could all very well be very short term. But, you know, they're doing the best with what they have. But I want to see more tag teams get tag teamy. You know, they need to be a part of the equation. Anyway, then you have the... Miz and the Miztourage walk to their locker room. Miz says it stinks in there. And then the Miz opens a bag and it's full of garbage. And he's all freaked out. Like, oh my God! Braun Strowman's gonna kill us all. You know, that kind of freaked out. Then, after that, they went to another match, which they called a Trick or Treat Street Fight. And it was Heath Slater and Rhino versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. First of all, Gallows and Anderson really need to be put in a much higher value capacity than this. I mean, Slater and Rhino too. They're a good tag team. Why are you letting them waste away on the locker room? You just... What, is the only tag team that you give a shit about, the Shield? Because that's not forever. So, anyway, they're dressed up as characters. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson were dressed up as people from Southpaw Regional Wrestling. And Slater and Rhino were dressed up as Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus, which it was weird watching Rhino in drag and having to look at his fat ass when they bent him over the rope. It's just like, yikes. Anyway, there are jack-o'-lanterns and various other Halloween-related items around the ring. They start to brawl and break pumpkins over each other's heads. Anderson rips a kendo stick across Slater's back, and then Gallows throws some pumpkin innards at him. Rhino comes in to help his partner. Gallows cracks a Gravemaker on Rhino's head, but Rhino no-sells it. Rhino slams a pie in Gallows' face, and then Gallows and Anderson regain control. They set up a table. Gallows and Anderson put pumpkins on their heads. Anderson tries to jump off the top rope for a move with a pumpkin on his head, because they were like, yeah, pumpkin head, like the horror movie. But yeah, it didn't work out so well. And Rhino counters with a spine buster through the table, and they win. So then Elias does a musical number, and he calls it the Ballad of Jason Jordan, which, Miz and the Miz, Jason Jordan comes out. And they are, I guess, trying to build this feud to be something, because last week Jason Jordan got, hit over the head with a frigging guitar. I had thought that they were going to not do that, especially after what happened with Finn Balor, but I guess, the good old JERRETT, the good old JEFFJERRETT freaking, guitar slam is friggin' back. So, yeah. Anyway, Cruiserweight Champion Enzo Amore comes out to the ring, and Drew Gulak spells soft, S-O-F-T, soft, and yeah, it was Drew Gulak versus Kalisto. Kalisto wins and takes care of Gulak in short order. And then Enzo attacks Kalisto after the match, as if I give a fuck. Now, Raw Women's Championship match. Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James. Why? Why? I just, with this as the main event, why? And do you want to know why, folks? It's because they know their third hour is their lowest rated hour. So instead of putting shit that we're going to be interested in to keep our interest in that third hour, they are pretty much moving their third hour to their second hour and making their third hour shit. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If that's your prerogative about your third hour, then don't have one. Stop it with these 3-hour Raws. Because, A, no one wants to stay up till 11 o'clock to watch your fucking 3-hour Raws, number one. Number two, what's your point? What are you trying to prove? 3 hours is fucking killing your product. It is. So just stop. I mean, we've had enough of 3-hour Raws, I think, for a lifetime. Now, the match between Mickie James and Alexa Bliss was pretty much a carbon copy of the one they had at freaking the last pay-per-view at TLC. It was not, it wasn't bad, but it could have been better. I mean, it was slow, it was methodical. I mean, this really, in my opinion, should have been... I mean, if you're going to play hopscotch with the women's title, but then never have it switch hands, then why are you constantly giving Mickie James a shot at it? I mean, this either should have been non-title to let Mickie win, or have Mickie win and then lose the title the next week because you continue to drill into our heads that one more women's title would put her past Trish Stratus, blah, 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 blah. Well, then when the fuck are you going to do it then? Stop teasing us. Anyway, Mickie goes out and throws her back in the ring. Mickie goes to the top rope and leaps with double knees. She lands on Bliss and gets a near fall. Bliss tries to roll out of the ring to get away, but Mickie chases after her, brings her back into the ring, which was awesome looking. It's like, you ain't going nowhere! Mickie rolls up Bliss a number of times. Like, she did some awesome... Like, the one thing I really like about Mickie James is she is so in shape. And she knows how to do a lot of things that I think the younger women are still trying to learn. Alexa Bliss. And, you know, Bliss is good. I'm not going to take anything away from her, but she needs to learn. So Bliss suddenly cracks Mickie with a heart, and this is what ended the match, which it ended very abruptly. She punched her really hard in the chin, and the slow-mo caught it really good. I don't know if she sold it, but you could kind of hear the crack. It was like, bam, you know, and she just dropped, and that's how she got the 3 count. And it was just like, whatever, you know. I wanted to see Mickie James win, but whatever. It is what it is. At the end, Miz and the Miz Taraj are hustling and getting their stuff into the limo to get out. They're in a hurry to leave, and they get into the back of the limo and smile, and they're satisfied that they reached their safe haven. But then a garbage truck starts backing in toward the limo. It opens up, and its back end, and Strowman is like, "Rah!" You know, he's like, and I honestly think it looked like a hologram, but maybe they did have a hologram, maybe they didn't, but it was basically, you know, Strowman coming out of the garbage truck like he was the fucking Shredder, you know, from Ninja Turtles. And Strowman chases The Miz and The Miz Taraj out of the parking garage to end Raw. So, okay, let me see. Strowman hoists axe, and then Strowman, once he finally gets to The Miz Taraj, because he does, he picks up Miz for a power slam, and Axel stops it. Miz rolls out of the ring and starts retreating. All of them got chucked down the entrance ramp. They all got thrown around. But then Curtis Axel, that poor guy, he got power slammed 3 times. And after the first time, the crowd was chanting, "One more time! One more time!" So we picked him up 2 more times and just annihilated Curtis Axel with power slams. I mean, this, if you have not seen Braun Strowman, look it up. Because this dude is a big freaking girthy mofo, okay? Damn. 3 power slams from that dude, and I'm gonna need Icy Hot and a couple of Advil, okay? I mean, holy moly. But yeah, that's how it closed, was, you know, Braun Strowman just letting out a roar as the whole show just ends. So it was, to me, it just, it I just don't understand some of this, because you know, they're trying to make this big baby face out of Roman Reigns, and yet the people that fans want to cheer for is Braun. So why not, use Braun, and it just, I feel, I think that he's a neutral baby face in this spot. He's like an anti-hero. But we've seen stuff with Hart and Michaels and Cena and Batista where both were fan favorites. It was just, it was what it was back then. And now, Hart and Michaels was huge because people knew Hart was leaving. People loved Shawn Michaels. They didn't hate either entity, but, which is the same as Braun Strowman, but people hate Roman Reigns. I mean, people want to see, Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman become the next big thing, and, it's just a big part of WWE not knowing what they have when they have it. But, go figure, they're just going to be doofuses. So, that is your Raw review. I am sorry that things that happened last week, and I want to touch on that just a little bit. Just seeing the women just beat the crap out of the other women. Seeing the Shield try and jump out and beat people up, and seeing them get beat up. Seeing them just enter the locker room and beat the crap out of everyone. Seeing them run into Titus and just beat the ever-living tar out of Titus and Apollo Crews. I'm surprised they didn't see Enzo Amore and just throw his ass into some kind of metal barrier or something. Like, I like this. I love this. This is just a trickle of what should have been happening every fucking Survivor Series. But that's my opinion. That's my 2 cents. Do I like this? Yes. Do I think this is good booking? Yes. Do I think this is the right thing to do for Survivor Series? If you ask me, I am going to say yes. Do I think these titles need to be defended on television? Yes! Because if you don't, in these 6 weeks that we have left, then you're leaving the fans disappointed a little bit. So, all that being said, and believe you me, Raw will have some kind of counter measure. And they might wait until the week before Survivor Series for Raw to invade, and it'll be Stephanie, leading that charge, and not Kurt Angle. But you never know. Kurt Angle came out in Shield gear, for crying out loud. So, well, that is it for me and for everyone at Sacktown Slam. I am Gary Maloney, and happy Halloween, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and I am signing off.